Hello and welcome back to the Tea Break Podcast, episode 006, part of youtube.com/Sofa of Adam, where you can go to find the highest quality content we are capable of making on PSVR and some flat games that catch our eye, where, as a subscriber or not, you can join the conversation. So go, leave us a comment, ask us a question. We love hearing from you and we do our best to answer back to as many people as we can. And at the end of our time together, we will be reading out the best ones. So, without further delay, I am your host Adam, and across the mic from me today we have the legend. That is Mike. How's it going?
Well, I hate to disappoint you. Obviously you think I'm more revered than I actually am.
Oh yeah.
But I'm happy to report I have a fable somewhere in a mountain in Tibet. There is a fable about me.
There's I wouldn't call it a legend, but a single man knows your name.
Yeah.
You know, so. No, I also have been having nothing really interesting happening. I think we mentioned in our last podcast that you got a drone. We still don't know what to do with it.
No.
So there's that. You've been having a go at some of the VR games, but we'll talk about that in a moment, because on our first segment, Wherever VR have we been, where we chat about VR games and what's been on our radar lately. So, Mike, Wherever VR have you been lately?
Starblood Arena.
Ah, good. What did you think?
I can see it definitely has its audience.
Yeah.
I'm not faulting that. What it does well. It's just not for me.
Is it not?
No.
I loved it. I really like the way it looks. I like the gameplay. I'm all over.
I am not. For me not liking the game, I have not got a problem with how the game looks, runs, feels, plays. Okay, there was a few moments where I got a little bit queasy when you're going in a 360 circle.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does. It specifically gives you those buttons right at the end of the tutorial, doesn't it? And goes, you might not be ready for this, but if you're ready for this,
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair. But if you're ready for this, it goes, you may do a barrel roll, which is fairly labour intensive. A barrel roll.
But those things aside,
yeah,
it's a solid game. It's just not for me.
Not for you, because I guess you didn't like Riggs.
No.
It's
like, again, it's sort of.
It's a better Riggs.
If this had something more to it, say if this was like a cartoon Elite, I'd probably be more into it.
Yeah, the arts, I can admit that everything in the game is amazing. The worst thing about Starblood is that you're shooting other people in a big ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the gameplay. I mean, I obviously enjoy it much more than you have. I've spent a couple of hours in it now.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I really like the characters, and I really like the level design. I really like the artistic vision of whoever put this together. It's really well built, and the audio's great. The way that all the ships look. The fact that you can pick a different character and they've got a different ship. I'm a lizard guy, I have purple skin, and I really like going, I'm a lizard guy, and here's me driving my ship. So it does make me feel very positive about VR going forwards in that genre, because I didn't like Riggs. You didn't like Riggs.
No, I didn't like Riggs, no.
No. But this does feel like a better Riggs. If you know what I mean? It's just shooting, to be fair. It's not sport, but I'm in a mech. It feels a lot better. I'm having more fun. It's more fluid. I love the respawn time. The respawn time is a second, maybe 2 seconds. Like, it's really fast. It's great for gameplay.
Is it almost like World War Toons?
It is. It is. Yeah, that's a really good comparison, actually. That's a really good comparison. It's World War Toons. It's just so arcadey. But it really works for something like this in VR. But it's much more well made, the World War Toons. Yeah. I mean, I really like World War Toons. The things that they're doing are groundbreaking, in my opinion. You should really go and follow them on Twitter. They do loads of good work. They've even got like models being made and these little Japanese sort of figurines of the tanks. It's a really off topic, but their servers are the best thing about that game, though, because again, you log on, it's really fast, you can just join a match and you're away. Starblood was a bit slow on the server front. You don't see in the episode that I filmed, but I did actually get bounced out of a game 2 or 3 times before I actually managed to get into one for the first time and have a go.
Was that due to the server itself, or is it like a full server?
I think that's because the games are all full. But part of me thinks, well, if all the games are full, that seems like a lot of games to have. How many people
And
online?
should
And
they
I'm
have,
looking
like-
at the time and going, it's midday in England. I don't think that many people are going to be online, so I feel like maybe they just don't have enough. But again, with popularity, they might improve it. There'll be updates. That's not really a problem. It was simply the fact that I feel like it was a bit wasted. I'd like to see them do something more fleshed out.
Yeah, that's what I said. If there was, maybe Elite was probably a poor comparison, but
No,
something more to it other than just fighting people
Yeah,
in a
I
bubble.
see what you mean. I do know what you mean by Elite, because you mean Elite Dangerous.
Yeah.
We've got it on PC, and now we've got it on PS4. That's great, because it's just flying in a ship.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. You get all those buttons. I'd love to have that in VR. I don't know why it isn't. Like, good God. What's their name? Frontier, if you're ever listening, or anyone... They'll never listen.
No.
I don't know why I'm bothering, but Frontier, they need to put VR into the PS4 version, because it's on the PC version, and it's upsetting me to see it pop up in Steam going VR update, but I cannot. I actually bought it on PS4 for the graphic upgrade, because as good as our PC is, it cannot handle
No.
anything above like 720p. Everything runs as long as we keep it at a set 720p, and then everything runs fine, because you've got that graphical buffer. And I really, 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 really wish that Elite had the VR, because like Starblood, like you say, it's something that's really indicative of VR, is being in a pod, floating. See, Rigs didn't work because I think you're on feet. Starblood does work because you're floating in a zero-G environment.
Yeah.
You've got no sense of up and down. They say it in the tutorial. They're like, it's the guy, there's a robot and like a slug thing, and the robot, which is J3
Jerry.
I think it's J3ER or EY or something. It's the
Yeah.
fact that I can remember, like, they've got names. They're really endearing. I just wish that it wasn't shooting. I wish, like you say, maybe if it was more like Rigs, it was like a football manager. If I had a team
Yeah.
and I was managing all these different characters, and I was hiring these little
Fighter
these little
pilots.
fighter pilot characters, and it was fighting team against team.
Yeah.
I think then maybe you'd be more interested.
I probably would be, yeah. And I must admit, the humour is funny.
Yeah,
Because you were telling me about it when you played it. It was quite funny and well
it is
written.
funny.
But
It's very funny.
humour isn't going to keep me around forever. And
No, it won't. I have to say, like, right when you're in the tutorial, though, the guy sat there and they're going, oh, what should we do now? Which tutorial? And he's going through, he's like, we don't need to do number 1. He's got internet safety. Oh, well, they shouldn't really be on social networks anyway. Number 2, safety, seatbelts. Well, it's a fight to the death, so no. And I'm sat there going, oh, this is really witty. And again, I just wish there was more. I wish there were more characters. There's a bit in my video, again, go watch it if you're curious, it's not that long, but in that there's a bit where I stand up when the whole game is sat down. I'm in the menu when you're looking, you did it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because there's this whole area behind you in the menu where you can see all the ships being like built, and there's people walking around on these like walkways, and my god, that view there is genius. Like, I love that view. That might be my favourite view in the game. It's just this sort of, everyone's a little bit smaller than you by I don't know, like a person would be, what's that, 8 inches tall in real life, so the height of like 2 cups on top of each other. That's kind of the scale. And I liked that. It reminded me of like Moss. This is so weird for a menu, I know, but in Starblood's menu it reminded me of like Moss, or it would remind me of Ratchet and Clank if it was done in VR, or Bound. Bound's a better example, because Bound, you've got the little ballerina dancer, and it's a third-person camera, and you can either have it fixed to the character, you can have it weird, followy magnet third-person, or you can go full fixed camera and have the camera fixed in the corner of each room, like a Metal Gear Solid game. The fact that had so many options is a sell all of its own, but I wish that Starblood had those sorts of areas with third-person characters, and then maybe some football manager,
elements.
for your ships and that. It's just, I want to love it more. I think that's my problem, is I'm sat here with you going, oh, I wish it had this, and wouldn't it be cool if they did this? Really, this is Starblood 2.
Yeah.
What we're talking about now is like things that they should do for Starblood Arena 2, and I want one.
I'd be interested if they do another one, but one thing I will say it really did have in its favour. It's the first time I experienced being something else.
What? Oh yeah.
because I played as your lizard guy,
Yeah, that's true.
and I was this lizard guy. So it was like, I am this lizard guy. I am physically different.
Yeah, you're not a human. That does make a difference.
And I was for the immersion rate. That was I thought that was I was there.
See, it's really odd. This is what I mean. The game is so well made, but we're not talking about the actual shooting part of
No.
the game. We're talking about all like the design and like you say, you really like that because you're not playing a human. Like I admit, Skyrim's close, but you're just hands.
Yeah.
So you don't really get the immersion.
With
You
this, I look down and there's like I can see like
Yeah.
the lizard feet.
Yeah, that
like,
was really weird.
perched out in
I
front
like
of me.
that, and they've actually bothered, and not all games do. But it's got a full body.
Yeah.
And if you look down, I mean, I was a lady very briefly in that game when I turned it on. So if you look down, you have a lovely full set of breasts, which is great, very empowering. Woman power. I felt it
And all
very
that.
briefly as a female character. But I've never been a female in VR. It's never
No.
happened, which sounds really odd because you wouldn't pick it. I mean, if you're a boy, you probably pick blah, blah. Not important to me what you want to be. But it's never even come up. Like in Skyrim, you just pick a lizard and you don't see it. This might be, I mean, I could compare it to Star Trek. But even then, it's kind of like you have a body, but it's not very highly detailed. You're not really looking at it.
Mm.
But yeah, in Starblood, you look down and there is a full-built alien character.
Yeah.
Purple skin, lizard feet, and it's all mapped to roughly where your body is. If you look to the left or you move around in your seat, the body moves with you. Your arms are like reversed so that when you're using the analog stick, it looks like your hands are moving. And it is really immersive, and the design and the work. I remember when you played it literally about an hour, 2
Yeah.
hours ago now, and when you were playing, you were like looking forwards. I noticed that you were like leaning, nearly touching the ground with your head, sort of thing. Nearly did a roly-poly off the chair. But you were like looking underneath you, and I don't know what you were looking for. But
I
it
was just like
cool.
looking underneath like the glass and seeing what I could see from like my view from like my the glass floor
Yeah.
by my feet. I was like
Mm.
looking through there and I was like, so can I see through there? Because I did spend a lot of time in the tutorial bit, like looking out at the window with the two planets sort of just in view.
Oh yes, because the actual view of space.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It
See
is.
again, it's the details, and I think they might really be onto something.
Yeah.
Starblood is currently free on the PSN network.
But no,
It's just phenomenal, just phenomenal.
maybe if they had like I said, maybe not necessarily a football manager, but
Yeah.
like a campaign,
Yeah, you keep talking, Karen.
right?
I'm gonna find out some
I
stuff.
think I'd enjoy it more, but I've never been a fan for sort of multiplayer shooters. I tend to avoid them like the plague.
Yeah, see, I wish that we had Overwatch in VR. I'm not into. I don't play Overwatch. It's not my thing. Neither is it yours, is it, Mike?
No.
No. But this is as close as I felt to wanting it. Riggs nearly had me.
No.
When we played Riggs, there was a few moments. Well, you say no. Okay, I'll speak for myself then. But when I played Riggs, there was a very brief moment where it went, "Do you want to build a team?" And you can pick what each. Like you've got
I
a
like
heavy
those
and a
elements
heavy
of
one
Riggs.
and a light one and a fast one, and I'm like, oh okay, oh like chess, I'm enjoying this. I can suddenly a bit of my brain went clicked into place, and
You
I went,
get this sort
I
of...
understand why people want to play Overwatch. It's feeling part of a group. It's that dynamic. It's I'm this and I'm always going to be this, and I am the sniper of the team, and I
Yeah.
love that. And whenever you go, you're accepted into the group and you play off the other characters. I really like that in VR, and maybe again not Starblood because it's single player, and it's so close, so painfully close to being good. Maybe what would you say they'd have to change for you to enjoy it more? Because they can't say, because obviously there's
But
lots
the
of things
problem
they
is
could add.
That's sort of I'd say it's a loaded question because it's you know what I mean when I say that it's because you might get an air answer, because problem is they've done nothing wrong in the sort of they don't need to change anything. What they could add is it's sort of at the moment it's just in my opinion it's a bare bones game. It's got a couple of modes. And that's, it's fine. It's not, as far as I'm aware, it's not been on the market that long from release.
No.
And in today's age.
It's been, I think it's fair to say quickly, it's been on the marketplace for some time.
Okay,
but it's
but
now
it's-
just become free, and suddenly that's popped
yeah,
into the consciousness
and
and the
with it-
zeitgeist, so
And
carry on.
with it being free, that's going to get a lot more. So they will get, and with today's modern gaming, we're going to get, there will be updates to it if, with it being free, there's a sudden
Oh, I see. I was just looking. I'm currently on the website for starblood.arena.com/en.eus/about for those that are interested in that sort of information. But it's actually by San Diego Studios, which is interesting. I don't know about White Moon Dreams, but San Diego Studios are part of PlayStation, as it were, which means that this has had more of probably more input from PlayStation than some of the others, which might explain why it looks so good.
Basically is Sony's answer to...
It might be. This is what I mean. This might be a bit more of a stab towards
that.
what we want. So we might be in line to get a number 2. I was curious, just sort of seeing what was here and what. But there's just sort of leaderboards and pilots. There's media. There's no mention of like updates and things. So I'm hoping that this isn't just a one-off and that they'll keep us informed. I was really hoping there'd be a blog here and that the blog would have like updates, but there isn't one. It's just a page. So in that regard, I'm a little disappointed. I'd love to see the developers sticking their nose into like the Reddit pages and trying to find out more.
They probably do.
I haven't noticed. I'm quite active in all those sorts of places. I like to stay in the know. I haven't noticed anything, but it is very interesting. I've certainly had a lot of fun in that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've...
But I must admit, going off on a tangent, there is sort of there. I've never thought I'd want this. Ever since Crash came out, everyone goes, "Oh, we want team racing now," and I was always been part of that. Yeah, let's give us the remake to team racing. But seeing you play VR karts, I've gone.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would Crash Team Racing would work in VR.
That's true.
I mean,
very true.
If VR kart didn't exist, I could go. If they released this as a flat game, I'd be fine.
Yeah, but
seeing you playing VR kart, I don't want a flat game version. It's got to be in VR.
That would be incredible. I'd really enjoy that. But I suppose that is something we will have to talk about in the future, because once we've got an episode of that on the channel, we'll talk about it on that week's podcast. Because I really want you to have a proper go at that before we dive into VR karts too much, because there are a couple of other driving games I'd like to compare. You didn't find anything on the store, did you?
Not for VR games for this week.
There's nothing really coming, is there? Not that you've been able to find.
Not
in the UK store.
Yeah.
At least.
The only thing I could describe it as is the prequel to Until Dawn.
What's it called? Oh, the
Impatient.
Impatient. Yeah, well that's good, because that kind of leads us on. But if that's basically the only thing, then we will move on from what games are coming out, because there aren't really any games coming out soon.
No, not yet.
So we can let you know exactly what's going on in horror, because we, in our last podcast, were planning on talking about this with our mate Taylor, but sadly I haven't been able to get hold of him. Internet's not been very great, and he works in London. He's a very busy man. But I wanted to talk about horror last time and wanted to compare a few games, because horror is something that I think VR as a whole has nailed. I said this, but there's a lot to talk about. Well, it's not that I had doubts. It's that I think that VR isn't taking many risks at the moment.
No.
And I think that horror is something that is allowing a lot of risks to be taken, and it's good. Like I say, like Resident Evil is a bog standard horror. Okay, I don't want to do it any disjustice, because it's amazing. Resident Evil is like the best game I have played. It's the best Resident Evil I've ever played, and I've played them all. But it's worth saying that something other than Resident Evil, something like Stifled, where you've got no sound. I mean, we've all seen it. You talk and there's sound waves. It bounces off the walls and that allows you to see. But I'd love to see that's a risk doing that. But it only seems to happen in horror games. It's like you were just about to mention a minute ago. You got the Persistence, which is kind of a Dead Space horror,
which reminds me a bit of Doom, and it makes me go.
I'm actually really interested in that, because that's actually got a really interesting storyline, and it's co-op. Actually, no, we'll talk about the Persistence quickly, because it leads back. So the Persistence is, you're basically being woken up one by one. You're on a ship. It's a shooting game, very similar to Dead Space. You've got these aliens, but you're all in cryostasis, and a PC that runs the ship is going along doing its daily spacey business with everyone on board, and they come across a black hole. And the ship is being
Event Horizon.
A bit like Event Horizon, and the ship is being sucked into the black hole. So the computer is waking people up one at a time and setting them off into the ship to try and fix what's wrong and get the ship back on course. And so you wake up, and if you die, then it just goes back to the beginning. However, it's a randomly generated ship, because the black hole, much like that very classic episode of Voyager where they're travelling through space-time and the ship gets a weird warp all the way through it, and they're like, oh my god, like the ship's changed layout. I'm trying to get to the bridge, and I keep finding myself on deck 3, and it's like, the ship's being reimagined because of space warping.
Yeah.
That's what this game is all about. So each time you wake up, the ship is a completely different layout, and that's the excuse is, well, the ship's a different layout because of space warping. So I can't give you any instructions, says the computer. Excellent idea, great horror, and couch co-op. So if you were to play and I'm sat next to you, I would have an app on my phone. And
it's one of them games.
The app allows me to see what's coming ahead of you, so I can actually see where monsters are spawning. This is very good of them. Again, this is a risk.
You to either
I can help
or you will spawn more monsters just to dick me over.
Exactly. So there's like a point system that you have and a point system that the second player has. And the player 2 can earn points by tricking player 1 into getting killed. Now you'd think, that means you'd never trust player 2. But if you die and the game put the monster down that kills you, we both lose points.
Oh, okay.
So my game as player 2 is to try and get you to avoid the monsters that the game has placed, and
walk into
walk into my one. So you'll go, what's around the corner, and I'll go, nothing. And then you'll walk around the corner and die, and go, why didn't you tell me? I'll go, well, that points to me.
So basically, it's a sci-fi version of Dungeons and Dragons. If you had 2 dungeon masters, they get a prize for killing you,
and which one wins? Yeah, that's very true. So that in itself is really clever, though. That's a brilliant idea, and could give me and you hours of VR. Todd, I can't wait for Todd to come around and have a go at that when this game is released
sometime this year.
Yeah, to be confirmed, says the official PlayStation 4 blog that I'm looking at. Firesprite need to get that act together and actually put up a date, because it's been a long time that I've been really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And I'd like some sort of release date soon. But this is a risk that they've taken, going, let's do this, let's have a regenerating map, let's do just random single player. It's a bit like Doom, like you say, it's just going again and again and again, it's arcadey, but it's 2 player, you've got an app.
You can go with a friend.
Yeah, these are all risks that don't seem to be taken outside of VR. I hate to say Stifled again, but if you compare it to Stifled where it's blind...
I was going to say, I'd even say Windlands to some extent.
Well, not really.
In a way, it's like to storytelling. I mean, it's telling a story, but it's very vague.
That's a kind of a concept, though. That's just like, Windlands is good, but it doesn't take a risk. It's just somebody going, I'd like to do this, and trying it. It's
someone trying
whether
to make
it works
Spider-Man
or not.
without getting the license.
But in a horror game, they're fully fledged out. It's got a good story. There's something about horror that makes it easier to make.
Yeah.
It's tricky because it shouldn't be any easier. I don't want to downgrade games by saying, horror's a really easy thing to make. How dare this game company just kick out another VR horror? But it must give them a bit of satisfaction going, scaring someone's a bit easier than making them feel a grand sense of wonder and amazement at your very intrinsic storyline.
And also, they can also sort of giggle at the fact it's like, nobody else is doing what we're doing. And if this game works, they'll be all copying us.
Well, yeah, there's that. Again, marketing, just selling a lot of copies is always good. So being inventive is good. But I just compare it back to all other games. Horror seems to bring about more change. I want to see more horror games coming to VR because they seem to push the boundary. I'll mention Resident Evil because at the moment I've just gotten to, spoiler warning, but if you haven't played Resident Evil, you might want to skip the next 30 seconds. I'm at the part where you're in the boat, and I've just bumped into Evelyn, E11, very clever. I've just realised, Evelyn.
You saw the
Evelyn.
Yeah, you saw the
Evelyn. Yes,
and
I get it.
Also, it's 7.
Yes, very cool, isn't it? But it's only there that I'm starting to have these flashbacks. If you've just tuned back in to avoid the spoilers, good, no worries. There's no more spoilers. But there's flashbacks and these really clever scenes where people that weren't there are sort of leading you through an environment when they were alive, and then you're following them, and then when it flashes back to reality and modern times,
you sort of get the answer to the puzzle.
You get the answer to the puzzle, yeah, because it's revealed to you by the passing of time. So it's like, oh no, we need to get out of here, and you follow them trying to scratch at the wall.
Flashback.
Here's a vent, we'll pull this vent open, and as they go to pull it open, they're both killed, and then it will cut, and you're
the vent.
suddenly, and the vent's been ripped open and it's all rusty, and you're like, so these two people ripped it open to escape. Things like that happen in films, and they do happen in games sometimes, but because it's VR and the way that Resident Evil as a horror has been constructed, it leads you through that level. The actual cinematicness of trying to get a VR player to be a good cameraman, that's the real problem with VR horror, is going, I want them to do something really clever. How do you get the player to look at it? Because in a regular game, you can just take it off the player. You can't do that in VR. So it's like,
how could you do a film?
Yeah, how can you be cinematic and also a VR game? And I think horror is getting there. They seem to be working out the rules to how... Because making someone scared is like maybe... it's like the limit of emotional standing in VR. Like, if you want to make somebody... What the most extreme emotion is going to be getting them scared, if you see what I mean, in VR.
Yeah.
Nothing else is going to make them want to rip the headset off and go, oh my god, my heart.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like if we get more experiences which are trying to push the limits of fear, they're going to learn more about VR development, because that is what's happening. Like Stifled, it's like I'll just take it off. You can talk in a second. I'm sorry. I'll get this out of my system. But if I was to play Stifled, but they built a non-horror world, Skyrim, say, or a new IP, you know, so the people that make Stifled come out with an RPG next, where you play a little girl with a lamp whose mum and dad die, and you watch them die in front of you, theoretically, you know, and it's all done in black, and you've got the sound, and you can see them screaming for help, and you're like, I can't get to them, I'm in my crib, I'm a blind baby, blah, blah, dragon flies over, oh my god, fantasy setting. You know, how amazing would it be to see a dragon outlined by sound? You know, to look up, or maybe go, oh, well, you know, there are 4 of you at a camp in a, like, again, RPG setting, and it's like, oh no, you're the blind girl that's got all these abilities, you know, you can see sound, can't you? Yes, of course I can, you know, first person, blah, 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 and you go, could you look around? Can you see anything? Because we cannot hear as well as you. So then you'd look around and you'd see trees, you go, there's a little shape over there. They go, well, we can't hear anything. You go, well, this is my place in the RPG. So over there I can follow the sound, and you wouldn't have to render a world, it would all be black. You could have a very wide... I mean, if you can run Skyrim, you can run it in black and white. You know what I mean? Like, you could go 3 times larger and do something really interesting. And that would never... I mean, if that happens, maybe one day, but that would never have happened, theoretically, without Stifled.
No.
Do you see what I mean? But it's a horror game. I just want to see more games trying to do something inventive, because I thought you've got this PS1 era of inventiveness.
That's what I was going to say. I don't feel it because, okay, I've not played every game that's on the market, and I've not experienced every game on the market. But when they say, oh, this, you know, we've got to treat the PSVR like it's the PS1, you know, they're learning how to do 3D graphics, but, you know, for VR. And I'm sort of thinking, it goes, no, I feel like we're on the PlayStation 2 era. There's a load of crap, but there's more gems coming through, and we're only in year 1. The PSVR is like, oh, we're in the PlayStation 2. We're still learning, but we've gotten a lot better.
No, that's a much more optimistic view. Maybe, because a lot of people do say that. They go, oh, it's PS1 era. And it's just not.
No.
I think maybe you're right, we're doing it an injustice.
I think like the first 6 months of its release, when we had like Here They Lie, Windows.
Oh god, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But you know what I mean, like the experiences, the small demos, the Batman VR, that was what I'd call the PlayStation 1. You know, we were getting these little games and they don't expect
that's what I think a lot of
much.
people were talking about, is that opening half a year.
Yeah.
But I suppose what you're saying is by now we're more PS2. Like, the games are out, we know what to expect.
Yeah.
We're not going... Hopefully, we're not going to get another Job Simulator coming out.
Yeah.
We'll get Rick and Morty. Or accounting, which is Job Simulator on steroids. It's not just, do you want to stand there and do something? It's like, no, we can do this. We can make a larger area. We've worked out how to teleport a character.
We can do it with locomotion.
Yeah, we can do a larger space, but do like Rick and Morty's game or VR accounting. It's Job Simulator, but bigger and more elaborate. And I think you're right. Maybe we are getting there. We are getting there. Here They Lie, though. I did like that game. Oh god, that is one of the Horror games that I want to love but cannot. It makes me so mad.
It doesn't make me mad, I'm just disappointed at it. The idea, it started off so strong, but it's like what I consider the only level to have a threat in it.
It's like I can see the cogs turning in your head. It's almost mind-bogglingly well made.
It is well
but
made.
It's so bad.
And it's so eerie, but you get to one point that really confused me. It's like there is a constant fear like you're always being followed, and there is that one bit where where you are actually being followed. But you always got this constant feeling of being followed, but there's like nothing. Yes, there's like a loud noise in the background somewhere, but there was nothing you could see. There's no enemies. There's like no mold monsters, for example. There's nothing for you to hide from.
And there was no explanation
and then
either in
the
that
bit
game.
that really confused me, I said there's nothing to hide from, and then boom, you go to this village setting, and that's like the last part of the game.
Yeah, well, the village bit was great because you weren't hiding. I was going to say that bit. Oh god, there's so many bits of that game that I love. That section where 2/3 in. I mean, if you haven't played it, spoilers. Never mind.
It's been long enough for us.
I really wouldn't recommend it, and because there's nothing really to hear. Because it's all concept. It feels like somebody sat down at a board meeting and said, "Bring me each of my VR developers. Come hither. Bring me each one idea, and we'll put them into a line, rearrange them, and do this game.
Yeah.
And then it'll just end." I think they had to rush it. I really feel like it was only half the game. It finished so soon. I was so angry at that.
And the bits we got were the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
No middle.
I mean, it might be worth playing it on the channel, actually, because we do have it. At some point, we'll go back and maybe we'll just talk about it rather than play it, because it's... I mean, I like horror, but it just can't scare me anymore.
No.
It's like, not in a bad way.
It had a lot of ideas, I think, that Resident Evil could take forward.
This is what... Again, though, even something like Here They Lie did things that make you go, isn't that interesting? Other games could learn from this, but it's only horror. Why is it only horror that seems to inspire this? Maybe it's because in a horror game you could like twist the room around and make fire come out the floor. So you go, oh, I never thought about setting the floor on fire.
I was going to say also horror is a very... not to say I'm like an expert in horror and I write lots of horror, but horror is a very easy tone to get.
This is what I said earlier, is I think it's not doing a detriment to games as a whole, but horror's something where you creating something scary is hard, but once you've got that, you can keep it.
Yeah.
You can keep that level of fear, and keeping somebody scared is a good thing and makes a game really enjoyable. And the first time I played Here They Lie, I really, really liked it. I wanted to know what happened at the end. It was one of the first games I got
to
in VR.
To be fair, in Here They Lie's defence, as horror goes, I thought that was more better than Until Dawn.
Oh, yes, Until Dawn can just...
That was
we'll talk
lie.
about yes. No, we don't.
Why do you? That's why I'm apprehensive about The Impatient.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's made by the same people, so literally I'm going in expecting a lie.
Staying on topic, because we'll get to that. We will talk about The Impatient, because that's something that we've both got very strong feelings about in both ways. But Here They Lie, I just want to talk about a few parts of it, because you've played bits, which is good.
Yeah.
There's the village section. There's the part where you have somebody following behind your head, and there's the other part where right at the beginning you're walking through London tubes.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And
like the tube system.
The tube system, and it's all tight. If you've ever seen American Werewolf in London, or not, if you're a millennial, then go and watch it, because that will teach you about the London tube system and how scary it can be. That film will show you
Creep. That'll do it.
That's another one. But there's this excellent part of Here They Lie where you're walking down tubes, and it looks normal, but you can see that the tube that you're in, even though it's all made of tiles and it's all solid, is kind of warping slightly.
Oh, that bit where it sort of slowly twists around.
Well, it does all sorts of things that keep you on your toes. It's like corridors that just move a little bit to start with, and then you go around a corner and it will go, oh, this corner bends to the left, and then it will sweep over and mirror image itself. So it's exactly the same but the other direction, and you're like, what? Did it happen? And that was fantastic. And then they just browse over it and move on and throw you into an outside environment again, and then you have another great section, which is
I didn't like that section because I was like, I always assumed...
Well, it was disconnected. That was the problem. It was all disconnected. The story was awful. There wasn't one.
Well, there was
There
a
was a
story.
girl. Some girl.
We were following some shadow.
We were following a girl we knew. Something about a boyfriend. I can't remember. I think it was a love triangle. She fled because we didn't love her. Something to do with chasing. And then
Yeah.
at the beginning half of the game, you're getting phone calls from your mate, aren't you?
Yeah.
You remember? You keep finding phones, and he'll be like, "Oh, how's it going with you and your missus?" And it's like, "Oh, she's all right. She's left." I'm like, the fuck? Why are we having these conversations? Doesn't make sense.
Aren't we in
Are
Silent Hill?
Yeah, are we in Silent Hill? And it never got answered. You get to the end and you walk up to a Ferris wheel and the game finishes. Well, you walk up to a giant Ferris wheel and then you see a woman on a platform and then you break a mirror and then the game ends. With no explanation as to
It
what the
went
mirror
on
meant.
Silent Hill at the end when they went, "Oh, here's a mirror," and you look
Yeah.
at yourself in the reflection, and
But it
then the
just
mirror
didn't make
cracks, and
any
it's like,
sense.
"Oh, you were in." Yeah.
I just got so irritated by not having any answers and it just finishes. I feel like it was rushed. But even though it was rushed, there are brilliant parts that like you say, like the warping tube section. My favourite bit, which I have mentioned already briefly, is the bit where there's a guy walking right up behind your head and you don't know he's there for ages. And there's this thing where you're walking and they very cleverly, good sound design, 2 sets of footsteps. And you're walking for a little while down this corridor, and I think the game is designed to make an endless corridor until you turn round.
noticed.
And I think so it keeps leading you in this big circle. So eventually you start to go, okay, I need to turn around. And then you start to realise that you can't. There's something there. And obviously, if you look at it, something's going to happen because the game's taught you until this point that making eye contact is bad. It's just a bad idea. People don't like eye contact in this world.
Yeah, they either scream or kill themselves.
But this one is brilliant because you look over your shoulder because it doesn't copy your head movements, it copies the controller where your
Yeah.
character is facing. So you can look over your shoulder and see it just at the corner of your eye, really close, like breathing down your spine. This just teethy. They're like, I don't want to call them zombies because they're not. They're like rotting dog people. A lot
Yeah.
of them aren't they? I don't know how to explain it. They've got like a sort of dog's head that's very sort of very skinny and they're very tall and gangly, but they're definitely people, but they've got these sort of animal-like qualities, don't they? They
Yeah.
wear masks and stuff, but they're right up behind you. And this one guy, and you think he's going to kill you, but he doesn't. He's just following you. And it turns out through no talking and no conversation, you keep walking, and once you've done that encounter, I think there's a point where he like sits down on like a mat, on like, or it, the thing's all gooey, and it sits down on like a cardboard box, and there's some tinned food and there's some rubbish, and you're like, oh, this is where you live. And he looks at you, and he sort of sat there, and you're like, you're a dog, aren't you? It's like you're not a person like I thought you were. You're looking at me like a dog looks at a person. You go, okay, so this one's not evil. You know, it's not after to kill you. And then it sort of follows you for a bit, and when you get into danger, it sort of makes sort of scared noises, and it's kind of like a mini companion section where you have a friend. And then there's a bit where he gets like beaten up and he gets taken off of you and he's dragged aside, and you get a choice. There are a couple of choices in this. You get a choice between running or giving him in. I kept him, but they still beat the shit out of him anyway, so there's no choice there. That's where it ends. But that section of like, you've got a mate, you think you're going to die, but you're not. Oh, a twist of the way I was going to expect it to go. It's another genius bit of thinking and great cinematography that you can't do outside of VR. You can't have, oh, I look over my shoulder and make the decision myself when I'm going to turn around in anything else but VR. If you're in a normal game like Alien Isolation and you turn your character and you are seen. You can't look over your shoulder and get a hint that there's something there without activating whatever the game's got in store.
One thing I am surprised at as a whole for VR, I mean, when VR was first announced, a lot of us were like, I mean, PT had been announced, and we went, imagine this in VR.
What, PT?
Yeah.
The Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty trees, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking, some people sort of have breakdowns, you know, psychological breakdowns over various things. What would they...
Ah, yes.
How would people cope with this, you know, because... You know, we always said that VR was a good fit for horror anyway.
Yeah. Why has nobody gone psycho yet?
Yeah, that's
We
what
keep waiting for it.
Yeah,
We're like,
I'm waiting for the report that someone's sort of
Little-
gone and killed someone
Yeah.
because they played too much Resident
Well,
Evil.
maybe we should make it clear that we don't endorse that.
Oh no, we don't endorse it. We are waiting for it.
But we keep expecting that any second we're going to hear on the news VR has pushed its first GTA button. Like
Yeah.
somebody somewhere played VR for 20 days non-stop, walked out the front door,
Confused
and
reality.
had
with
a
the game.
very strange reaction, and something very bad happens. And it hasn't happened yet.
No.
Not that we're complaining, because
No.
that would be terrible. And obviously, we believe as true gamers and true VR people that that's impossible, and that all games are made to help. You know, mental illness is a terrible thing, and everyone who needs help should go and get it. And VR and gaming is great for helping people out with those kind of problems. But we do wait for the news.
Yeah. I don't know, it's because we've become more sceptical as we've gotten older, and it's like we want to believe in these things, but
Yeah, I
we've lived
suppose
through
old age.
all of this before, so it's like, so when's this going to happen again? When's this going to happen again?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. What was the other game called? The Impatient.
Yeah, the Impatient.
The Impatient, because you were talking about that, because that's coming to PSVR. Oh,
The-
wait, I've just deleted all my things. There we go, it's coming to PSVR. No, stop it. There we go. Supermassive Games have made this, the makers of Until Dawn. We assume this is a prequel, because
Yeah.
it's set in the same asylum, isn't it? It's in the asylum that's in
And we go
Until
to
Dawn.
the asylum in Until Dawn, and it's like
so,
derelict.
I mean, technically this is spoilers, but not really, because none of us have played it, so I don't actually know. But we can all assume it's going to end in Wendigos then?
Yeah. But
It
the
has to
thing is,
end in Wendigos? 'Cause-
going on with what I said earlier, because of...
By the
Until
way,
Dawn.
before you say that, it's been delayed to January 23rd.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But no, when I have a problem with it. It's like I played Until Dawn. We loved it. I think everyone loved it the first playthrough, and then we all played it again because we were all promised branching paths.
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
sorry,
not true.
what they gave us wasn't branching paths. All we did was moved. You know.
Yeah, you changed how something was going to happen, but it still happened.
Yeah, it's still
There were
happened.
ways you... I mean, this
I-
gets a bit fiddly, because there's no podcast long enough for us to sit and really get it out of our system. But there are lots of points in that game where we were expecting to maybe...
Like a change in the
yeah,
monster.
and plot.
The way they implied it before release, it's like, you know, one was going to be a supernatural threat, one was going to be a Jason Voorhees screen killer threat, one was going to be something completely different, and we were literally, what were the possibilities of bad horror movies they could make into a campy game?
And then you get to the end, and,
And
it's just
Wendigos. And the Mad Brother, who I wanted to kill, but the game wouldn't let me.
Yeah, that got annoying. There's so many things in that game I wanted to love. It's just such a well-loved game.
I hated it.
I know, we're not fans, but that has somewhat tainted our view of this.
Yeah.
However, using my full repertoire of English language, however, it's worth saying that this does look good.
It
doesn't
looks good. I'm not going to go, it's crap.
Yeah.
Because of...
Well, we can't. No, we'd be lying.
Of Until Dawn. It looks like how I remember how Resident Evil launched sort of vague trailers and lots of flashes of corridor.
Yeah.
You're not really sure what's going off. It's got that advertisement, and so it's sort of doing like it's being vague and mysterious, and it's like how it should be. But am I going to get to the game and go, this is literally Until Dawn in VR?
Well, yeah, I'm just hoping that it doesn't have any multiple choice things, and I'm hoping that it is just a really well-made first-person horror story. But how many more horror games can we have? I mean,
Well, you'll be surprised. I mean, there's
They're
a
the most-
franchise for everything.
let's hope that this is going to be really inventive, and it's going to throw what I think to be traditional horror out the window, because I just don't want to play another game in an asylum. I've played Outlast, I've played so many things. Horror has been done, but it needs to be done better for VR to succeed. I hate it.
I want
hate
a
it.
director to take VR and almost... Oh, no, you know what? I want Sony to give Hideo Kojima the PSVR headset. Give
As a
them...
gift.
And, yeah,
I'm sure
no,
he's got one.
Yeah, he's probably already got one. Give him the USB with PT on it and go, we want something
want
like
this.
this for this. Go mad. We give you money. Take,
Yeah.
take.
It's true, I'm surprised. Yeah, just slip him under the car and go, you know this game? I mean, we can only pray that one day he'll go, "Ooh, did you know Death Stranding VR compatible?" I mean, I'm praying.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about gods non-existent for many millennia to come out of the woodwork, to pull some strings to get that to come out of the universe of the damned.
Yeah.
But it's a possibility. It's a possibility.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's not impossible, but VR needs more innovative
It needs
things to happen.
Elder Scrolls. In my opinion, I love Skyrim VR, and this is probably me gonna. People might think I'm shitting on it. Playing Skyrim VR. I'm like, yeah, this is good. I don't want Skyrim VR. I want Elder Scrolls 6.
You mean we just need a new IP of something to
Yeah.
really open the world up, to put all these ideas to use?
Yeah,
I
like
see
a
what you're
new
saying. Not the
big-
best example, but
No.
I totally get what you mean. It's like we're waiting for something like... I've said it before, and I will say it again. No Man's Sky might have cheated us all, but it was certainly going to be my VR game of the year. If it was in VR, that game would be amazing. Who wouldn't want to fly a ship and wander around a planet and kill some stuff and look at some randomly generated spore creation creatures? It would be amazing. But it didn't happen. Like, why hasn't that happened, Mike? Why? Tell me.
Again, so
Why?
you could almost chalk it up as the same as the Switch. It's still early days. Nobody wants to put all that money behind it. And as far as I'm aware, it's more expensive to develop in VR.
It is slightly. It's more of I don't know about expensive, because technically, if you're doing something in the Unreal, you could render the whole game in VR in a button press. I mean, you'd need to wait a few hours for the game to render again, but you could. I mean, the game, you'd have to design it to work well with VR instead of just being a 360 camera on top
Yeah.
of someone's head. So Resident Evil was designed with VR in mind.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but I really think that you've got, if you're waiting for something like Skyrim 6, well, what's
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah.
Oh God, I want it, but
Because I mean, just think about it. I mean, if Bethesda went into Elder Scrolls 6 going, right, we've learned from the release of Fallout 4 on the PC with
well,
the
they've
VR.
learned from
We've learned from Skyrim.
Yeah.
Now take what we know and let's apply them to Elder Scrolls 6, and we build it from the ground up.
This is what we're kind of waiting for. This is like, again, like with Starblood, like with a lot of things that are currently on VR. We're waiting for number 2. Ultra Wings, for instance, are already talking about a number 2.
Yeah.
Ultra Wings 2. And that's not even a PSVR game originally. Turns out, that was actually designed and made for Gear.
The Gear VR, yeah,
on Samsung.
Samsung.
It was built for that. It was made on Unity, I think, don't quote me, for that. I was talking to the developers the other day, and they were like, yeah, it's great, it's fantastic, we did it all for that. I was like, I can't believe that. I said, I really thought it was a PC. It's like, no, it's just, then we took it to Oculus, then we took it to PSVR. And like, it still works. You're still using motion controllers. It's still really... How? And they're making a number 2 of that, hopefully, where you're going to have multiplayer and stuff. Got Windlands. Windlands 2 has been announced. They're doing that, and that's the same. Multiplayer looks a bit like Shadow of Colossus. Huge creatures, all made of stone, that are walking around. Looks like we're actually going to be able to climb with our friends. Might even have a bow and arrow and weapons in it, and all sorts of stuff. Under the concept of Windlands being, we can definitely swing around. Asking for the next Skyrim might be a bit much, but I think something. Oh, I hate to say it, but something like the Persistence, or maybe the Impatient.
But you know what?
I think the Persistence is good because it's not pure horror. It's more Dead Space, and it's co-op. It's pushing the game into more gamey territory. It's like, here's an actual game, man. We can sit down and play this on the sofa together. I can have a go, then you can have a go, and it will keep changing. What a great game this is that I would play normally on PS4. It's because too many games that come along are sort of PSVR forced.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. Games should all, if they're made for PSVR, then obviously they should only be available in PSVR. Making it
Well.
in PS... No, not... I'm an advocate for this because I think if a game is made in PSVR or VR and you allow it to be bought by both PSVR and PS4 players, I find that you're just kind of sullying the marketplace, and you're not giving people an incentive to buy a VR headset, which is what we want, because just playing it
Part of
flat.
me, I was like that when they announced that Resident Evil had a flat mode. I was part of like
Well,
that's
a
gonna
difficult...
no. That
You're right.
I really did when they went. Oh, it's got a flat mode. I was sat there and went, no, don't do that. You need a game to sell with the headset.
Yeah.
You know,
No, you're right. This is kind of what I thought No Man's Sky was going to be
that,
way back
that
when.
exclusive.
Yeah, that it was going to come and be VR, well, not VR only, but Oh God, we
But
need
you know what I
something.
mean? That
We need an
incentive
app.
to go out and buy the
We need
headset.
something that really does grip us, because Skyrim can be played anywhere. So people that want to play it aren't playing it in VR; they're playing it on their nice PC or whatever
Yeah.
they've already got it on. Because it does look better in the original. No one's going to lie to you about it. It's still PSVR headset is a 720p screen. There's no ifs or buts about it. But there are games that make really good use of that, and
Yeah.
I don't notice when I'm playing a game because I'm not counting pixels. Maybe that's just something that VR people have in common, is we don't care. I mean, it's like PS1, PS2. Graphics isn't important. We're pushing those graphics as hard as they'll go, and we are in 2018 on the PS4, so we can push it quite far. So when some people are going like, "Oh, we'll never get Fallout," of course we will.
We're getting it next
Fallout's
year, aren't
coming
we?
this year.
Oh,
at
this
the end
year,
of
yeah.
it's 2018 now. But it's like they already said, like, we're putting Skyrim on PS4. Fallout on PC, and then in a year's time they will swap, and
Yeah.
Fallout will come to PS4, Skyrim will go to Vive. It's just how we're selling them. No point selling 4 games, 2 versions of each one, and getting people confused, which is a brilliant idea. It also means that, considering the Vive and the PS4 are quite different to develop for, if you're doing something from scratch, not so bad. Bethesda are having to sort of rebuild Skyrim and Fallout, and they're going, right, could we rebuild Skyrim and Fallout for PS4 and Vive at the same time? And everyone in the company must have sat there and gone,
Well-
that's impossible.
Well, actually,
You'd need 1,000 of each of us. It's like, okay, fine, then we'll just do Vive for that. Skyrim can be PSVR,
Yes.
and in a year's time you can swap, giving you a year's development time to get them both ready again. That's
the thing
fine.
is I can't say for like the modern consoles, but I've been friends with you long enough, and I've seen a few game engines, and
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
true.
of game engines. Everyone makes it sound so difficult to work on. It's so hard to make a game for PlayStation because we work so hard on Xbox. I've seen game development.
Yeah, no, it's
sift
true.
away. It's just a button press.
It is just a button. See, this is one of the points. I'd like to make it clear that when Mike says he's seen a few game engines, he's not just saying... You're not just saying it, are you?
No.
I mean, I've taught you over the 6 years I've known you to code. I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, you're now at the point where, after trying other engines and things, we've got
I've
you
gone
to
too
the
basic, but
the
I
RPG
enjoyed the
engine.
base.
How's
Yeah.
that? How's that? Didn't you buy that?
Yeah, I bought that.
You bought that so you can actually
I had an
get your
older
codes.
version.
Yeah, the old one, and now you've got the new one
And
off Steam.
it's brilliant.
Even I was impressed
It's
with
like
that.
I was looking at like an old version of the game I've got, and I'm looking at it and I'm literally going, the code is identical. So why do you stop here?
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that I've taught you, but I've also shown you the Unreal Engine, Unity, Hammer SDK.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh God, what else have I I've really shown you almost everything I had in my repertoire, because over the years, since I've been about 8, with Darren, I've been on a computer coding and making mods. I'm a bit of an artisty person. I like making artistic-y
But
things.
you know what?
So I like just making levels and making places. I used to make levels for Counter-Strike. I used to make mods for Half-Life. I did mods
Skyrim.
for Sky. They're quite good, my mods for Skyrim. And I've even made a few of my own games on smaller engines like Unreal, but I've never had a computer for it. So I always ended up going back
Giving
to
up
something
because-
really simple.
Yeah, that's
And,
why do you think I'm on the
Yeah,
RPG
that's
Maker?
that's how we came back
It's
to the
less-
RPG Maker.
It's less labour intensive for our technology.
Yeah, because for me it's about story, and again, something inventive can be done in the RPG Maker, or something similar, a smaller game engine. So you have a point, like when it comes into coding and really getting into a proper engine like Unreal or something bigger, or CryEngine, or Software's engine, or Square Enix's
Creator Engine or whatever they call it.
Crystal Engine. I can't remember. They just changed it, didn't they? The Crystalis, whatever it's called. They're all really huge, complicated programs. They are still a button press, like you
Yes.
say, because it's just you'd need a big enough computer, and it would take a few years to get something to work as a VR game and as
Yeah.
a VR experience. But I think most VR players think it's harder than it is.
Yeah.
I think people should have their hopes higher, is more what we're trying to say, isn't it? When people a year ago were going, we'll never get Skyrim, it'll never happen. It's like,
I
oh,
called
please.
that like when they announced
did.
the Oculus.
Yeah, because we were like, of course it's coming. Of course you're going to get Skyrim. They'll manage it, because you just have to render it differently. It's not just a couple of sliders and
No.
a button. It's a long, laborious task.
They had to physically
But it's
change
possible.
But yeah, they can do it.
It's doable, and that's my point. Is that it's like I've always wanted to play Wipeout, and lo and behold, along comes Wipeout. I'm over the moon for that.
It's
But there are more VR games like Fallout and things like that, that you should message your developer. If there's a game you like, if you really, really want to see Portal and Portal 2 in
Email
VR,
Steam.
email
Get
them.
with the rest. I'm pretty sure if we get the whole world emailing
Tell
Steam,
these people,
we get,
because it's
we'll
important.
get Portal 3.
The community's really good for PSVR, and I've noticed a lot of developers are really open about talking about their VR stuff because they really want people's opinions, because it's one of those, again, PS1, PS2 era, there's so much to and fro, and I really think if you want something, you have to let them know. You have to message them, get them on Facebook, get them on their Twitter, get a Reddit account, find their page, subscribe to them, message
Bombard them like I do with BioWare.
Yeah, if you want it, bombard them. You've got to. That's how it works.
I bombard EA on a monthly basis with going, where's my Old Republic remake?
No, it's so true. That's so true.
But no, one thing I think is missing from VR is, I would almost say like the novelty characters. This is going to sound weird, but like...
Do you mean like Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah,
like it needs
sort of.
an endearing, what's it called, mascots.
Yeah.
We do need some mascots.
But
I think that's what things like.
But
There are games trying.
Yeah, but I'm not sort of saying that you need a mascot, but the sort of games where Star Blood Arenas, as I was saying earlier, I was playing as someone other than human.
Yeah, they've really nailed that. Something we need to wait for Gollum for that. Because in Gollum there's... Again, maybe we'll have to talk about maybe next week we'll talk about how... we'll try and reach out to some of these developers, and I'll see if I can actually find some of my emails and things to and from, and we'll talk about what's going down in the future and see if there's anything interesting happening. Because there are loads of really interesting concepts, and I think we've all agreed, both you out there listeners and we here at the sofa,
all two of you.
all of you, we all know that VR's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's just seeing how fine now. It's just a level of... It is not a level of if,
It's
but when. Moving swiftly on, though, I think it's fair that we can say that we've talked about VR enough.
Yeah.
And next week we will talk about
More VR.
more VR, as we always do. So it's time to let you know, the viewers, what's going down on the channel. Thank the new subs and answer any questions or comments you might have. Remember, if you comment, question, or have a suggestion for a topic that you want us to talk about, head over to youtube.com/Sofa of Adam and leave us a comment, or better still, subscribe and show your support. And play nice in the comments so that other people can have fun on their VR games.
Yes.
Really. We encourage people to support each other, that's all. I get very upset when I'm looking down through comments in anybody's channel, anywhere on the internet, and I just think, God, Facebook, please, these are not arguments worth having. Like, have an opinion on VR, but just going, I don't want this. Like, you've got to have an open view, and I think that people that listen to us do. People that you the listeners at home are clever. You know what a level-headed game is. No bias here. We love all games.
I was going to say, to quote one of my favourite Sith Lords, to have an ideal, you must be willing to betray it.
It's true. That's a very good point. We should talk about our new subscribers, because our current subscriber count at this very moment is 248. And I'd like to say a personal thank you to the Reddit community and the community as a whole, because you've all been very supportive.
Yeah.
We're all very pleased with all of our wonderful comments, and we'll be reading some out now. But first, thank you to our new subscribers, Akomi, Chris Cooper, Best Kodo Leaderboards, and there are quite a lot actually. Arcathor85, Sneakerhead 360, Andrew Skull, and Johnny B, and Pixelzan. So, from TT333 2 days ago on the image blur video that we did about PSVR and sort of my general tips as a user on how to use it, he said, I've noticed that if you wear it on the back of your headset up higher, you get less pressure on your head, resulting in a more comfortable wear. Other than that, though, great advice, especially the part about double reflection on the lenses. That's definitely something that needs to be more well known, and I am more than happy to help, buddy. Glad that the video actually did you some use.
Nick Frost's one.
Nick Frost, you guys are absolutely bonkers. I love it. I ordered this yesterday from Amazon, and I'm really looking forward to playing it, and that's in relationship to
Our Arkham...
your Arkham... what is it? What's it actually called? Batman Return to Arkham PS4 bundle. But you're playing
Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum, but he's enjoying that. So thank you, Nick Frost. I don't know when you actually subscribed. Obviously, you've been subscribed for a little while. Who's next? DJ Bullet Speed, who says 208. I guess this video was pre-recorded because you're almost halfway to 300 now. What video is that? What video is he commenting on? Resident Evil. I must have said in the video how many subs we had at the time, but I suppose they are pre-recorded. So if we do get numbers wrong, do remember that we try to record a few days ahead.
Just in case.
Just in case something happens to the internet, because we live in the south of England where the internet is unreliable at best.
Our internet provider is unreliable.
Unreliable, that's exactly it. Roland Rivera says, thanks mate, this was really helpful. And that was another one on the image blur one. If you do want to check out that and you do want my tips, I'll leave that in the description. Do just go to our channel.
And if you want Adam to give you more tips on various subjects, leave ideas in the comments.
It's true, if you leave something in the comments, we'll always get through to reading it. We'll do one more from Connor Lake, who said that my head must be much bigger than yours. I need the strap very close to the top of my head, and that's his fault if he's got a very big head. I'm just saying, he leaves a comment going, well, if
you could get yours down there,
you can get yes, it's a well done you. If you can get yours to the back of your head, well, I have a very large head. So we're glad to hear that everyone's doing well, though. That's
as long as everybody's enjoying the VR headset, you could wear it upside down for
as long as you can see the picture, we're happy to help you. So, is there anything left that we need to talk about?
Oh, yeah, I watched a couple of the dev videos from Ubisoft on Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you like Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah. It's like they were talking about how they modelled characters and all of that, and they had like this sort of rotating image of this model changing into different anthropomorphic animals.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that's like the character creation and they're doing like a time-lapsed image of, the
See, that's Ubisoft Montreal? Montreal?
I can't say if it's,
I think it's the French studio
this time, but that one did the original.
Okay, I think it's Studio Montreal.
But we think it could.
It's just Ubisoft. I know it's the French section, I assume.
But
so we'll look those up. Maybe we'll talk about that next time, see if they've got anything really interesting.
But no, it was very interesting, and then I watched another video on like all the Easter eggs from their E3 demo.
Oh yeah.
And there was tons of them, and it's like, thank God these videos exist.
Yeah,
for people like me.
The people who are out there going through trailers with fine toothpicks to select and show us what's hidden. Thank you. You do the world a service.
It's like I always jump for joy when IGN do like a rewind thing of like Star Wars or something, and he goes, "Oh, there's this bit, and it's from this person." I'm like, "Oh yeah, they exist somehow."
Because I wouldn't spot them. No, you're absolutely right.
I suppose you could spot me, but only if you watched it like 10 times.
Oh, well, I haven't actually. Other than that, those are very good points, but I've got nothing to add.
No.
I just edit and record. I have no life outside of this channel now. That's it. My life is this channel.
Don't mean to blow your own trumpet there.
Don't mean to blow my own trumpet, but I did. Then that's it. Thank you very much for listening or having this video on YouTube in the background. We do our best and we do appreciate that you're choosing us to spend your time with. Thank you for watching. Goodbye from Mike.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from me. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube, or do check us out at www.youtube.com/SofaofAdam. Follow me on Twitter, which is @SofaofAdam. And what's your Twitter?
Just getting that.
Do you have a Twitter?
Yeah.
You made a Twitter.
I made a Twitter. If people want to follow me, and I question your sanity if you did want to follow me. But I'm at Mikey, MICKEY of.
I can always leave it in the comments.
Yeah, leave it in the description.
I'll put it in the description because you. Well, let me have a read. What have you given yourself? Oh, Mickey. Oh, I see. Mickey Sofa of Ad. Oh, I see. Mickey Sofa of Ad. Yeah, so it's at Mickey Sofa of Ad. Yeah. AD at the end. So if you want to find him.
I doubt your sanity, but if you want to, there I am.
There you go. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And all I've got left is you stay virtual, San Diego, or wherever you are on Earth.
Why call us San Diego?
I thought it sounded cool. I heard at the end of Anchorman. You have a better sign off. Go on, I dare you.
May the VR be with you, and that's goodbye from us.
I hate you. We'll see you all next time. Take care.